Hello and welcome to CNC World, broadcasting from North America and around the globe. I'm Xie He in Washington. Joining me today in our studio is Mr. Bill Jones, Washington Bureau Chief for Executive Intelligence Review. Mr. Jones, welcome to our program.
Happy to be here.
Thank you. The 19th meeting of the Academicians of the Chinese Academy of Sciences and the 14th meeting of the Academicians of the Chinese Academy of Engineering is being held in the Chinese capital, Beijing. At the opening of the meetings on Monday, Chinese President Xi Jinping called for efforts to build China into a world leader in science and technology. So, Mr. Jones, in your opinion, where is China right now on this frontier?
Well, it is certainly moving forward in many areas. It's been an amazing development over the last few years in terms of many of the scientific breakthroughs. I think everybody has been very impressed by this, and the speech by President Xi was I think very inspiring and very dramatic. He has an awareness that it's the growth of the economy is determined by the advances in science and technology. And a country that stagnates in their science and technology area will soon have economic effects. And it's a challenge to everybody because we don't know how these breakthroughs are going to be made. You never know when you go into it. But if there's an orientation, as is indicated by President Xi, and I think that has been transmitted to the scientific elites in China, of moving forward on this, you're going to see a lot of things happening. I think China is well on its way to becoming one of the world's, if not the world, producer of some scientific technologies in a lot of different fields.
So for, say, like the past 5 years, what changes have you seen that has impressed you the most?
Well, the developments in high-energy physics, the developments in the space program, the determination to go beyond what other countries have done, and the fact that they're going now to the far side of the moon is a place that mankind has not yet been. We want to see what that's like. We want to see what the world looks like from that area, and China is leading the way in that respect. But also in terms of the astronomical instruments that have been developed, biotechnology, there's been a lot being done. Also in agricultural sciences, which of course are very important for China as a food producer. There's a lot of great breakthroughs that have been made. And I think, in all the major fields, in high energy physics, in gravitational waves, which is also a new development, China is playing a major role to move further, to find a lot more about what our universe is like, how it operates, and how we should operate in it, and is I think placing a lot of high bars for other countries to meet.
And what about some scientific innovations that you've seen?
Well, of course, you've had the developments in the AI. You've had developments in computer sciences generally. China is one of the countries that no longer really uses cash for personal transactions, but it's all digitalized. And all of this leads to increased productivity, greater speed of movement of people and things. Talking about movement of people, you have the high-speed rail, in which China is really number one at this stage and is marketing this throughout the world. The initiation of the high-speed rail has also increased the tempo of economic development. And the fact that China is doing this and offering cooperation with the rest of the world in this respect also means something not only for China, its own development, but for the development of mankind as a whole.
So do you think, because China is aiming to become a world leader in science and technology, so do we expect more competition or more cooperation in the future?
Well, to the extent there's competition, it's not a bad thing if people are really trying to work to make these breakthroughs and if it spurs them on to move forward. But I think one of the aspects of President Xi's speech was extremely important in emphasizing that China will be opening up even more. This was the message of the 19th Party Congress in terms of the economy and in investment. But this is also in terms of science, that China is opening itself to the world to work together with other countries in these areas. So there will be a certain amount of competition. People will try and choose the kind of niches that they think they have an advantage in to move forward on that. But there will also be, I think, increasing cooperation in this area. It was probably not insignificant that the same day that President Xi gave his speech to the Academy, it was also announced in Vienna that, not announced, but reiterated in Vienna that China was opening its space program to all members of the United Nations. And this has received a lot of praise, both from the UN and from the other countries, because the attitude is that we are all part of the same human race, and that these problems that we're facing in terms of be it environmental or economic or technical, are problems for all of us, and therefore we should combine as much as possible the forces that we have to make the breakthroughs, to resolve the problems, and to move into, to a new era for mankind.